Hi, my name is Norman Meier, and welcome to Breaking Out of the Hamster Wheel, the guide for business and financial success. Today, I want to start this video with thinking outside of the box. But before I start, I want to give you a quick introduction of who I am and what I've done and why you should listen to me. When I was in my 20s, I was working as a financial planner and sales manager, and I was making good money, but I was still far, far away from becoming a millionaire. And then when I turned 30, I was still as broke as I was when I was 20. And I thought, well, what should I do with my life, and how could I become a millionaire, and what do other people know that I don't know, and how am I going to get there? Well, I was working in different industries. I was, always in the financial industry, but I was working once as a financial planner, then in the hedge fund industry. And then one time I was offered a job at UBS. And UBS is one of the biggest banks in the world. It's the biggest bank in Switzerland. And I was offered a job as a trainer, which I would have really liked because I like to teach people. And so the job at UBS was $150,000 per year. And I thought, well, that's a good income. But then I did the math and I thought, okay, well, if I work in this job, let's say for 10 years, and I live off, let's say $100,000 per year, I have $50,000 left over. So 10 years times 50,000 is $500,000. So after 10 years of working in this job, I would still only have $500,000, so I would not be a millionaire. And you know what I did? I turned down the job because of this. And then I thought, well, but there's people out there who are successful, who make millions, and I really wanted to become one of them. And then I was thinking, okay, what are my options? So I can work harder, that's one option. I can save more money, spend less, or I can get a better job, or number 4, I could start my own business. So those were kind of the options. And then I had another interesting part happening in my life. I was confronted with 3 different kind of deaths. So at work, a lady unfortunately had an accident and died over the weekend. And then a friend of mine introduced me to his brother, and a few days later that person died. And then I came home one night and there was a dead cat on the street, and I was thinking, wow, I was confronted with the meaning of my life and what should I do with my life? And if I just, work or keep working in a job that I don't really like, am I going to be happy? Is it really going to be my destiny? Is it going to be what I should be doing and what's going to fulfill me? And I thought, no, it's not. So at that point, I decided, okay, I need to do something different. I need to change my life. I need to go out there and make it happen. So just to give you a quick overview, from 30 to 32, in 2.5 years, I became a self-made millionaire. Not just that, I built a company that was $300 million in market capitalization in the stock market. And I was the main shareholder with over 100 million. And I had 60 employees. I had projects all over the world. I had $40 million from investors that I raised. So there was a lot going on. But the question was, what was the change, or what led me to that point where I was able to get, to become a millionaire in that short period of time? And this is what I want to cover in my videos, in my video series, especially in this program about business and financial success. So obviously, success is not an accident, and it doesn't always happen overnight. And even though in my case, it only took 2.5 years, what happened was about 2 years before that time, I was listening to motivational programs from Brian Tracy, from Anthony Robbins, from other people. And I even went to seminars, and I was reading books and so forth. So I was feeding my brain with positive encouraging messages, and that was really, really important. But then I was listening to one program from Brian Tracy, and this is what he said. He said, okay, take your current annual income. And in my situation, my current annual income was $140,000. And I thought, okay, $140,000, that's my, and he said, okay, now imagine you could increase your income by 20%. So add 20, and what would that end up being? So if I add 20%, that would be $168,000. And he said, what would you have to do or change in order to make that happen? Well, since I was a sales manager, I thought, okay, well, I could do a little bit more calls. I could see more clients, 20% more closing rate and so forth. So is this possible? And I thought, yeah, that's possible. I could do that with some extra effort. And then he said, what would you have to do if you had to double your income in 12 months? So if I had to double, here, got a better pen now. If you double your income, so that would be 280,000. Is this possible? Ooh, I thought, doubling my income. Well, 280,000, I never had made that kind of money before. And I thought, well, that was a big stretch. So what would I have to do or change in order to make that happen? So I wasn't quite sure. You see, but then something was starting inside of me. Okay, so how do other people do that? How would I have to, what would I have to change? And so forth. So you start to think a little bit differently. And then finally he said, well, imagine, now take your annual income of 140, and what would you have to do if you want to have 10 times more? And in that case, it would be $1.4 million per year. And I thought, wow, that's totally like unrealistic, out of reach. That's just not possible. And here's the thing. Okay, so there's other people right now in the same industry with the same products and services who make this kind of money. And what do they know, or what do they do that I don't know or that I don't do, so that they can make that kind of money? And so what I started to do, I was starting to think outside of the regular options. So I was thinking outside of the box. And this is what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to show you. Well, I was like, okay, who would I have to become as a person in order to make that kind of money happen? So that was my primary motivation. And you know what? I actually wrote myself a check, and I still have the check, and I can show you the check later. And I wrote down 1.4 million. I put it in my journal, and I looked at it every day, and 2.5 years later, I made it happen. And how I did it, I'm going to go more into detail after that. But the next step, and that's really, really important, is I was at a seminar and from a German motivational speaker, and his name was Bodo Schäfer. And Bodo Schäfer said he was at one point down, broke, he lost everything, and he went to his coach, and he said to his coach, look, I don't know how I'm going to continue. And his coach said to him, look, you need to make $100,000 per month. So $100,000 per month. And then Bodo Schäfer said, well, how am I ever going to do this? Because I'm broke, I'm out of options. This is totally like, I can't even pay my rent. So like, why would I even worry about like $100,000? I don't need $100,000 a month. I need, right now money for other things. And so his coach told him, he said, look, it's not about the 100,000. It's not about having that cash. Nobody needs really $100,000 to live comfortably. It's about who you need to become as a person who is capable of making that kind of money. So what would you have to change in yourself, in your habits, in your behavior? How self-disciplined would you have to be? How would you have to change or reorganize your day and everything? What would you have to do differently in order to make this kind of money? Not just about the money, it's about becoming the person who can make this money. So now if you do the math and you see 100,000 per month times 12 is 1.2 million. So it's pretty much, very close to that. And that was my primary motivation. I was motivated by that. I thought, okay, wow. All right, so I was making, a little bit more than $10,000 a month. How, could I become the person who can make 100,000? So that was my primary focus. So, okay, I needed to have different goals, obviously. I needed to think unconventionally, not in regular ways where you have a job and you get paid by the hour or something like that. That's just the wrong system. That's not going to work. And then I thought, okay, well, what would have to change in my personality? Would I have to become more self-disciplined? What kind of energy would I need? What would I need in regards to my goals? I needed crystal clear clarity, and I'm going to talk more about that too. So those were the things that led me to that. And you know what? And it worked out. And I did that, and I became the person who was capable of doing that. And I want to teach you, and I want to show you how you can become that person as well. The biggest changes in our lives happen when we are feeling lost or depressed or unhappy, where we're at the point where we're like, okay, I can't do this any longer, no more. When you're at that point, it feels like a bad place to be in, but usually that's a great place to be in, because when you're at that point, that's when change happens. That's when you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, when you're willing to do things differently, and that's when things happen. And I want to show you something. You see here, this is one, this is the other one. These were the journals that I had, that I wrote in when I was thinking about what should I do with my life. And this is a very, very important factor. You need to first find out who you are as a person, which means what are your talents? What are your strengths? Who are you? What do you really, really want? And only if you focus on the things that you're really good at, that's when you can develop a plan for the future. That's when you can develop a strategy or a vision for starting a business or becoming successful. You can't become successful in something where you don't have any strengths or talents. It's just not going to work. It's going to be very, very hard. You need to focus on the things you're good at, but also you need to dream. You need to focus on things that you want to accomplish. And look here, in this book here, I have my little dream book. So you see, I wanted to be in shape like that person. I wanted to have the motorcycle. I wanted to have freedom. See the eagle stands for freedom. I wanted to have, go on trips. I wanted to have the house. You see here, this house here, this villa. So all these kind of things. So I was focusing on things that I wanted to have, and I was writing into my daily journal ideas, thoughts, goals, dreams, things that I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to have a business, I don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but how I'm going to do it, I would do it this way or that way, or I'm going to have, this many people or secretary or whatever I was thinking about, I was writing down. And that was key to my success. And the key was to write down the house, even though I didn't know exactly what it was going to be. And here's something interesting that happened. After about 2 years of listening to tapes, writing down and everything, I had an epiphany. All of a sudden, I knew what I was going to do. And once I knew that, and once I had that epiphany, things went fast. They went really fast, and I accomplished becoming a millionaire in 2.5 years. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible, because I knew exactly how I was going to do that and what I wanted in big details, in clarity. I had everything written down, and all I had to do is execute. So do some soul searching. Buy yourself an empty journal and write into that journal every single day, and find out who you are. What are your talents? Write down what you ideally want, how you ideally see yourself, and create a personal vision. And just remember too, becoming successful is never a lonely journey. You can't do it alone. You always need people. Nobody has ever become successful by himself or herself. So you need employees. So think about that way as well. So let's summarize here. What's important? Okay, thinking outside the box. You need to think differently. You need to think in new possibilities. The traditional ways of just saving money and not spending too much is nice and everything, but it's not going to make you a millionaire. So you need a different option. And you need to become the person who can make $100,000 a month, even if you don't necessarily need the money. But what does it require of you to become as a person, to change your behavior, your habit, getting clarity, getting self-discipline, and so forth, to become that person? And you need to have a vision. You need to dream. You have goals, something that motivates you, and use a personal journal and listen to motivational and inspiring messages from other people who have maybe gone before you. So that's my advice. Think outside the box, and that's the first video.